novel. This is Stories require a lot of work, just base work of tying scenes together, shaping scenes, making sure you have the dimensionality of your senses involved to take the reader through the scene, the action, the emotional response. A lot of that requires work, rework, building it, seeing it, being the director of your own mind movie. But that first line of all the novel, the first line is the thing that has to be the most inspired. It'll come to you if you're an author, if you have an imagination. Those first lines, they come to you. The big thing is you got to capture it when it's there. Whether it's in a note, I've got the cool little Apple Watch thing, and it's got a voice note taker thing, so you can click that, take a quick voice note. Cool first line. What goes in that first line? I think first and foremost, it needs to be to the genre. And I'll give you some examples here. I went through and actually researched for this episode. It has to go to the genre. It has to be compelling, has to leave the reader with a question that the rest of the book will answer about the character, about the entirety of the book, the story arc. It has to be ambiguous enough. Like, man, I can't believe he died after all this. That's a crappy first line because you just told him the ending. Tell him the compelling part of the journey. Don't tell him the ending. What are the stakes? What's the scent of discovery? Let's take a look at some. Here's one. The stench of fear permeated the shuttle bay, overwhelming the smell of grease and rover fuel. What genre? Okay, military sci-fi, maybe space opera. It tells you what's going on. Hey, there's going to be a little bit of action. There's some angst because the stench of fear. Good stuff. Sets the stage for the whole book. Here's another one that you should know. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epic of belief. It was the epic of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. And then the sentence goes on. It's a ridiculously long sentence, but that's Tale of Two Cities, of course, historical fiction. Here it is. Hey, everything you know about vampires is wrong. Something from Michael Anderle. It sets the stage for, what do you mean it's wrong? Okay, that ambiguity, that journey of discovery that the author is going to take you on. I am not until I have to be. That's the first line in my Hitman with a Conscience series. It sets the stage for what does he need to be, and it's not he should be, it's what he has to be. He came from the wasteland, broken and dying. All he wanted was a drink. Post-apocalyptic. That goes into that military sci-fi. But all he wanted was set the stage. What does that mean? It's one of those things that people can analyze and dig deep into and try to figure out. And the story will help them then figure that out. What does it mean? What does it mean for the character? What does it mean for the character's character? What does it mean for going forward interactions with that character? Flame shot through an open hatch. Kane yelled. Engineering's on fire. Military sci-fi once again. Space opera. Here's one you may know. I was arrested in Eno's Diner at 12 o'clock. That's Lee Child's. That's Lee Child's first Jack Reacher book. So the first line of the first book in a multi-million book-selling series. Something as simple as that. I was arrested. Well, why? Okay, that's a justice, vigilante justice. It's a thriller, action. That sentence doesn't say action. The whole first paragraph, almost the whole first page, is passive voice. And you look at action, thriller, passive voice. Makes you wonder. The whole setup is this passive of what's going on here. And you have to follow the book, read the rest of the book to figure out what is going on. Raven black hair hit a bowed head while shoulders heaved with her sobs. A romance book. But why is she crying? Why is she in this enticing view of the raven black hair over as she's leaned over. These kinds of things. These are the compelling nature of that first sentence. And I read a lot of first sentences because of the anthologies that I do. And I mean, hundreds and hundreds of stories with their first sentences. And I can tell you right away that that first sentence, that is probably one of the most critical elements of the whole book. You may lose them later, but a great first sentence will keep them plugging along to make sure that they get into your book. So inspired, look for the ambiguity, but tell them what the genre is without telling them what the genre is. It should all come through in that first sentence. All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace, fellow humans.